What's up, folks? It's been a pretty crazy week on Wall Street with just markets all over the place. If we take a quick look at the charts here, we can see just it's like the sell-off and rally and sell-off and back and forth that we had all week. That's why you'll notice the title of this video being questioning day trading VXX, because we really have seen this movement back and forth in VXX that we haven't seen in quite some time. And of course that VXX and the VIX product always correspond, of course, to the SPX, and with the SPX moving all over the place, we've seen and also overnight moves, we've seen just this up 1 minute, down minute type action that we usually don't see. Usually we see a trend in a certain direction, and not this like back and forth activity, but there actually has been the possibility to day trade VXX lately. There has been much made over the last few years about how the market is no longer, or at least was, no longer that sort of shoot 'em up Western that the market was back in the 80s and 90s, where you could day trade individual stocks. But that's kind of turned around recently, with a bunch of individual issues being very volatile, and there being a possibility to actually take advantage of movements in a single day in many of these issues. Of course, the meme stocks have come to the forefront with GME, AMC, and others. As we flip through them real quickly here, GameStop this week rallying. If you look at the 10-day here, you can see the story really. If we need to actually just back it up a little bit further here, you can see the initial spike here, and then it seemed like it was kind of the aftermath, but then we get a second pop here. Now, when you look at this in terms of the chart at this distance, right, look at this chart here, then you see, okay, well, we had this one big blow up, and then we're still in kind of the aftermath, right? If you look at the chart, 180-day chart versus, let's say, the 20-day chart, it really gives you a much different story. And a lot of times when we're trading these issues, we're not looking at things like this and realizing that, well, we had an initial spike and this is just kind of it could be thought of as it just kind of settling back down. The problem that happens with a lot of new traders is that you get this tunnel vision where you're only in the day or the moment. So, if you're just looking at things in terms of like 5 days, you think, wow, this is getting ready to go somewhere, which gives you a totally different perspective than if you look at it like this and say, well, this is likely to actually fade back to, back down below 50, just due to the fundamentals of the company. And the narrative that's been put forth by many people about GameStop is just that treating every product sort of the same way. Like the narrative is it's us against some unknown short, and we're going to win, and if we all just hold on, we're going to make this go up towards infinity. And, that idea sort of works for a little bit, for a day or two, but it starts to break down over time. And I think that will be true in this case. But let's continue to, I don't want to get off track here too much. I was talking about how there's been the ability to day trade different stocks recently. Let's take a look at Tesla, because this is one of the most followed issues of the week, and we see the sell-off. And this is a notorious product for A, being a monster, but B, for coming back from big sell-offs. I mean, look at that amazing chart right there. And but it wouldn't surprise anybody if this made new highs later on this year, because that's just the way it's been. Let's take a look back to this stock, and we can see these moves don't look as big anymore, but this move right here, it looks teeny right now. But if we do go back to this period, let me see if I can get it on the chart the right way here. This has made some incredible comebacks, but this particular move here, it's adjusted for a split, but this was before the split. It was it got up to almost 1,000, then went back down to like 300, and this was a big, huge down move from which it just immediately recovered from, or not immediately, but over a couple of months recovered from and exploded off of, and now it just looks like a little blip in the chart, right? And again, we see this another down move, and I think a lot of people think that this can just come back right back up to 900, and it possibly could, but it could also come back down to earth. Remember, Tesla's the numbers as far as PE ratio, and I know when you're thinking of a company like this, you're talking about future earnings. You're not talking about current earnings. So PE ratios sometimes break down, but this company, by many valuations, has been way overvalued. So not surprising if we were to go back to like 400 and sit there for a while. Remember, this stock sat at like $300, and at the time, this is adjusted for the split, but it sat at a level for quite some time before this frenetic rally that we've gotten over the last 6 months. Let me see if I can back this chart up even more here. Let's see, time frame. Let's look at 5 years. And how do I do this right? Let's see, 5 years, and then we're not going to show day. We're going to show by week, right? By week. Okay. And you can see it just sat for a very long period of time at this level before exploding off. And for a very long time, and even when it was sitting at this level, this stock was perceived as a monster. But the amazing moves that we've had recently dwarf that. And I think there really is a case for this to go lower from here, possibly. Now, don't get me confused that I'm bearish on everything here, because I'm not. I'm just trying to look at both sides of the coin when we look at some of these issues. But this is certainly a day tradable one. The other ones I was messing with more recently, Mara and Riot, both related to Bitcoin. And we've seen Bitcoin come off a little bit off the highs, and these companies as well. A lot of these companies get caught up in the hype of Bitcoin. Bitcoin rallying doesn't necessarily mean these companies are worth so much more that the value that the public has assigned to them by buying up the stocks, and that you've seen them come back and retrace a lot. As is true with this Riot one. Let's get back to a more normal chart here, and we can see it's sold off, down 50% off the highs right now on that one. Let's look at our old friends from last year. Lulu also has sold off. A bunch of big tech names have sold off recently. Apple down a bit. Let's see. But yes, back to let's go back to VXX. We have seen a lot of movement this week in VXX, and here's the chart for the last couple of days, and you can see, big chances to short this, right? Big up, then rips back down. Let's go back a little bit further. So just many opportunities for either from the long or the short side to scalp here, which is relatively rare for this issue. But we have had these opportunities have come up where, like, if you saw the market down one day and this thing pops, time to get short. If you saw that the market was way up one day, this thing goes down around 14, time to get long, and it's worked out, which is pretty interesting. If we go back to our term structure here for a second, I'm going to pull up Vix Central and look at our term structure. We can see that the term structure has held shape relatively well, and in fact, the decay has continued to the downside even through these kind of turbulent times. And I think when we see a term structure that kind of stays in a decent amount of contango like this one has, what that says to me is that the market is relatively healthy and is shaking off these down days. So yes, we've had down moves, and we've had individual issues that have done poorly, such as Tesla, but overall the market, which this represents an overall snapshot of the market via the S&P, the term structure looks healthy here. We have a downward, I say downward sloping, but I just mean a normal contango slope in the term structure. And even when the VIX has popped and actually the VIX cash has moved above the futures, this shape of the term structure has remained intact. And I think when the term structure does stay intact like that, that is a signal that the market is not overly spooked by what's happening in one single day. And so, some people are going to use the VIX term structure as just a way to look at the potential for specific VIX products like VXX or Uvxy. Other people are going to use the term structure as a measure of kind of the health of the market in general and where we are in volatility in the overall market as a means for making decisions about individual equities or trading ETPs to do with indices. And when you look at the VIX term structure in that regard, you see a term structure here that is healthy and that doesn't signal any particular danger right now. The VVIX, for a long time, people were saying the VVIX was in a different range than it is now for a couple years maybe, and for a long time it was thought of as, well, there's a certain level, and maybe it's 110, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 120, where a VVIX above that level signals trouble. But the reality that we've found over the last year is that the normal range of the VVIX has moved up a little bit, and it doesn't seem that meaningful either. In this range above 100, it doesn't signal necessarily trouble. It just seems to be like the normal range now. So looking at the VVIX, many people point out that the VVIX is not a great measure of anything really, and it's used as an indicator is questionable, and I would have to concur with that belief. We see the VIX in a the VIX hasn't moved that much. We haven't had the big down move that we've expected for some time, a down move back into the low teens, and we just haven't gotten it. And it appears that this is the new range that over the last year for the VIX. And I mean, if we go back, let's do our 5-year chart again, and let's see if I can do it a little bit more quickly this time. Why is it different? Let's see. So let's see if it's going to let me do. I'm having a hard time switching it, but essentially we were in a lower range here for a long time, since 2016, and we've stayed in this higher range here for a while now. And probably what will happen is when we've completely given up on it actually going below 20, then it will. But we've seen it crack 20 briefly, and then it's stayed up in this higher range for quite some time now. And maybe that's just the new normal for a while. We were very used to it being, with the floor of like 10 and being, between 10 and 20, with 20 being the high. But now we've seen it between 20 and 30 basically for quite some time now. And it seems like it could stay in this upper area. But the reality of the situation is, even if it stays in this upper area, when we've got this healthy Vix term structure and comfortable levels of contango, the products are still going to decay in a similar fashion to when we were down here. It's just that we haven't gotten that big down move in volatility where you have these dramatic down moves in Uvxy or VXX. And we've been flirting with the reverse split in Uvxy for a while. I think that will come pretty soon. We talk about going through 8 as a sort of a trigger point for when they start thinking about doing the split. And we did have a low recently of 824, so we're close to getting that split announcement in Uvxy. In fact, why don't we go look and see if there has been an announcement recently. Uvxy split. And we just have Vance's site giving an estimate that maybe July will be when we have the split. Although we haven't had an announcement yet. Let's see. Yeah, we haven't had an announcement yet, but it's coming soon, the split. And, I welcome that. For many reasons, it's better to trade Uvxy after there's a split, just because you've got, it just feels like better option premiums. And I know that it doesn't change all that much when there's a split. It's still percentage-wise the same thing, but it feels better after it's split in a way. Good morning. Oh, and so I'm actually looking at the questions right now, and it says, when will it split? They haven't announced a split yet. We are expecting it to be announced, but we kind of want to wait until we do get through 8. We think they'll announce a split one time we get through 8. Keep it locked on my Twitter, because I will announce it on Twitter as soon as I get the news. I think I was one of the first people in the world to announce the split last time, so I'm always kind of competing with Vance Harwood about which of us can announce the split first. I think I won last time, and I think he won the time before, but regardless, it will be publicized as soon as it's are Vance Harwood and Kathy Wood related? Not sure. What's up, Edward? Yeah, so keep it locked. We'll give you the news when it does split, coming up soon. But yeah, it's been a devastating week for me with GameStop with the short. I did roll my position out. So GameStop, I did have a position on that was going to expire in 2 weeks. I did roll it out to 41 days. So now I still have a short on, but it doesn't expire for 41 days. I'm long the 70-60 put spread in April. And I think giving it a month to kind of settle down should work out. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely it got kind of ahead of my skis there a little bit, and just did not do well in GameStop. I was short down here. Not down there. So let's see. Let me go back. I was short down here, and then it just blew up. And it looked like it was coming back, but then it's just rallied off of there and continued to rally. Now, this can't go on forever because the company's not worth. The company's losing money, and a lot of this is just people hyping. It's a lot of people hyping it. So we'll see what happens. I've been largely wrong, so don't follow my advice on this one, but I am still short it, and I am looking for a move back down below 60. So we'll see what happens once again on that one. And in the meantime, we've gotten some great opportunities to short VXX, and we'll see if these opportunities continue to come. As far as the government goes, the deal, the stimulus, it seems like we're always talking about one stimulus deal or another, but the stimulus deal got changed by the Senate. Some of the details got changed by the Senate. So last week we had the House vote on the deal. Then it went to the Senate. The Senate changed the deal. So now it has to go back to the House once again to get revoted on. And then if that's successful, it will go to the president sometime next week. We were thinking that the deal might have gotten done on Friday, but because the Senate changed the deal, and the changes being to a couple of them, but one of the main one being to give unemployment of $300 extra instead of $400 extra, it goes back to the House for revoting. So we'll see if the deal gets done. There's been good news all around about COVID, so that's great. I hope everybody out there in your own personal lives are doing well. And that's kind of where we are right now. We'll continue to hopefully see some great trading environment out there in the weeks ahead, because it's been an exciting year so far, and there's been certain opportunities out there for everybody. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Thanks for everybody's support on Patreon, and for the members out there, I really, really appreciate your support. And I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching.
You're watching Famous Days.